We have about 7 minutes left. I see Sufi ada. Sufi kat office ke tu, Sufi? Sufi is one of my football teammates, football boys from FC SWAT.
Ini majority from your football team ke?
Well, we have close to about 80 people registering. I mean confirming their attendance tonight lah kan. Tapi kata football player so tak sampai lah 80, tak sampai 20 pun kan. So we have a lot of people. There are people from Intel, boss.
Huh?
There are someone also from Intel, but I don't know if she's here yet. Ada nama Natasha from Intel.
Okay.
And then there's a few there's one from Petronas, ada TMB, ada a few university students, a few teachers pun ada juga. I'm using my old laptop sebab tu kamera macam tak cerah. Tengok Hizam, Afrina cerah. Or maybe I'm just stuck lah.
Okay, ikut orang dia, is it?
That's true too lah sebenarnya. Sebab rasa macam dah duduk bawah lampu dah ni. I think the person from Intel is here. Natasha is in here.
Okay.
Did I use my former colleague? Yeah, I think we can start in 5 more minutes. In less, well, 5 minutes lah. Give and take 5 minutes. But anyway, thank you Hizam for actually spending your Saturday night with us.
No problem.
You know, it's Saturday and it's weekend night, so you know, being a successful man, proven leader yourself, mesti ada busy kan. But good lah. I think we're happy as well to have people interested to hear your insights and tap into your experience. Until when Afrina starts moderating, Afrina is a lovely moderator. I know she'll make this session fun. But I hope everybody else in this room as well, if you want to turn on your video, you want to take the chance to interact, discuss. I mean, it's not one-way communication je lah kan. We can discuss, we can probably debate certain things, but most importantly is that everybody, you know, who joined tonight gain something useful for you to, go to sleep, wake up being a better human being, being a better person, better father, mother, or the majority over here are basically better sons or daughters, friends, husband, wife. So I guess we have about now 27 people in the room. So this is not a clubhouse, not exclusive only for iPhone owners. This is Zoom house.
Izzat's house.
We have a former teammate here, boss. Welcome, Syafiq. Dia terus tutup video.
Great, that's good. Handsome kan?
Hai guys, Assalamualaikum, sihat semua?
Waalaikumsalam, Syafiq.
Salam.
Okay, Afrina, I think, whenever you're ready.
Okay, sure. It's 8, right? Okay. All right, Assalamualaikum. Good evening, everyone. Selamat datang. So today our program is Youth Leadership in the Digital Era. And we have a very special guest speaker today, which is Hizam Kadir. Okay, so today is going to be a short but hopefully a very impactful session. Kita sembang santai-santai, we make it interactive. Okay, so before we start, a few reminders. If you would like to have your videos on, feel free to do so. In terms of your microphones, hopefully all of you can help to keep it on mute. But at the end of the session, kalau ada apa-apa soalan, nak tanya, whatnot, feel free to, just turn on your mic and ask questions. This platform is brought to you specially by FC SWAT Malaysia. So do follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We are not just a football club, tapi we are, a platform where we want to bring knowledge to all of you, especially the youth, to empower the youth. So do follow us for, in the future, we have a lot of talks, programs, so all of you can be a part of as well. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce all of you to our special guest speaker, which is Hizam Kadir. He has 20 years of experience under his belt. He is currently the VP in FinTech and Islamic Digital Economy from MDEC. He has past experience in Microsoft, in Intel, and his resume definitely speaks for itself, really. His academic qualifications, he has a bachelor's degree in communication from Purdue University, Indiana, USA. He has a master's degree in corporate communications as well in UPM. And we are indeed excited to have you here, Hizam. Thank you very much to spare your time on a Saturday night to share knowledge, especially to the young generations today. So let's get the ball rolling, and the floor is yours. Hizam, would you like to introduce yourself a bit first before we start off with our topic of discussion?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A bit of correction right now. Tadi my portfolio, I'm no longer attached to any organizations. I'm in transition right now. Yes, my last portfolio was in MDEC. Instead of telling everyone cerita pasal my career, bosan lah nak cerita pasal what I've done and all that, right? Maybe a bit of a snapshot. I came back from the US. Banyak pengalaman mulanya dengan multinational lah. Saya spend years di Intel dan di Microsoft. dan kemudian sekejap dekat ballot power system, buat fokus on renewable energy, dan setelah itu dengan MDEC. Jadi dalam sekitar 6 tahun tu saya buat national service lah. Setelah kita berkhidmat dengan pihak swasta, and then you switch to the government. One thing I think maybe what I can share about myself, and the topic today tentang leadership in digital era. Kita tak nak fokus on digital sangat, kita fokus dulu on the leadership part. Orang bila kita sebut leadership, memang kita fikir bos. Kita fikir ini pasal ketua bagi arahan, bagi instruction. I think one thing that excites me when it comes to leadership is the result that you create from your leadership. Izzat ada hantar satu set of questions actually, and one of the questions dia tanya pasal my proudest moment throughout my career. Kalau saya nak cerita proudest moment tentang my work achievement, ada banyak lah, tapi mungkin tak relevan dan bosan aku nak cerita pasal benda kerja hari Sabtu malam kan. But from a leadership standpoint, my proudest moment has always been the people. How your staff, people whom you have helped to groom, being able to grow. I mean, good example, apa ni lah, Izzat Salihuddin ni dulu staff saya. And for me to be able to see him grow, jadi special officer, CEO, sekarang dia pegawai bank. It's a great achievement, walaupun dia dengan saya tak lama sangat, tapi I can say that I've contributed some to the success of my people, and that is in any leadership, and I want to share that view. If you were to be asking me about myself lah, it's how in a leadership position to be able to help to create and grow your staff who are now my friends, to be someone yang dapat contribute back, not just to the country, but contribute back to bangsa, agama dan negara lah.
Alright. We can see that Encik Hizam ni dia seorang yang sangatlah humble. You see, he doesn't want to talk about himself. He wants to share with all of you about macam today's topic. We will talk about leadership, employability, personal development, and also a bit on digitalization. Then Hizam is a very people-oriented person. Okay, one of the question, Hizam, we would like to ask you. We talk about the youth kan, sekarang the generation and whatnot. What are the major differences you tengok dalam sekarang punya generation in comparison to those, you know, especially in your early years of career? Is there a big gap that you see?
You're making me feel really old, Afrina. Okay, gaps. My interaction with the youth, and I consider all of you are youth, yeah. And to be honest, secara jujurnya, dealing with the youth susah. Betul. I think there are a couple of my former staff online as well. You all boleh tanya dia orang lah. Kadang-kadang yang mengamuk lah juga. I think the difference between the youth sekarang dengan the youth before. Let's focus on the youth sekarang. Lagi-lagi in today's scenario when everything is almost digital, yeah. When I was born, I wasn't exposed to computer. My first access to a computer was when I was only in standard 6, and then we were learning basic programming. Yeah, there's a programming language called BASIC masa itulah. Tapi sekarang, so I'm considered what we call digital immigrant, right? Digital immigrant, digital natives, macam youth sekarang. Dia lahir-lahir, dia dah dapat tablet. budak sekarang kadang-kadang kita pergi tengok supermarket, mak ayah dia nak bagi dia diam, bagi main phone, right?
Terasa I
So
was.
these are
Terasa I.
Izzat kan yang parent yang bagi tablet kat anak.
Exactly, and these have created a new group of generation that are called digital natives. And these digital natives, the way dia nampak dunia different. Sebab dari kecil dia dah di-expose to different sources of information. Masa saya youth dulu, TV ada 3 channel je, TV1, TV2, TV3. Dapat TV3 excited gila. Right? Saya ingat arwah abah saya pasang aerial tinggi sebab nak dapat TV3 masa tu kan.
Kita kena adjust lagi kan.
Kena adjust, right? And at the same time as well, reading materials are quite limited. Apa yang ada dekat library dan juga apa yang kita baca melalui surat khabar, right? So the difference between the youth dulu dengan youth sekarang, a lot of them are dependent on sources of information. Hence, digital natives, youth sekarang ini, as I said, they view the world horizontally rather than dividing the world into hierarchies. Sebab masa saya youth, saya nampak information tu bertingkat-tingkat. Kalau saya nak dapat information lebih lagi, saya kena masuk sekolah menengah. Lebih lagi, saya kena masuk universiti. Yeah, you got what I mean? Sekarang ni, it's different. I have seen youth as young as 15 tahun, 16 tahun, I mean from digital world lah, yeah, creating application. And they are able to create apps solely from learning from YouTube, as an example. Yeah. Kalau saya pun tak dapat nak mention some of the influencers. As young as 18, 20 years old, they make more money than I do from being an influencer, right? So this horizontal view have created some effect as well. The youth right now are more able to share things. Because the nature of it, when they create content, for example, on YouTube, yeah, influencer ni, they share information. Jadi it shape and change dia punya karakter untuk berkongsi, yeah, sharing. And you can see as well, yang kebanyakan orang yang terlibat dalam sharing economy. Sharing economy salah satu contohnya sekarang ni COVID-19 MCO yang hantar makanan kat kita, right? The whole concept of sharing economy and those apps yang kita pakai, Food Panda dan sebagainya, are created by the youth, right? They understand the concept of sharing, right? They don't see much boundaries. As a result to that, kalau dia tak nampak boundaries tu, ya, it has created a generation that is a bit more, what's the right word for it? Distrustful. Distrustful. Dia macam kurang percaya dengan status quo. Dia tak percaya bukan dia tak percaya, dia question traditional values, cultural values, social values, right? Yang selalu nak netizen yang nak kutuk government, kutuk institution dalam Twitter, kebanyakannya youth lah, right? And partly because of the impact of digital natives ni, sebab ini tak ada salah dan benar. Saya tak cakap siapa yang salah, siapa yang betul, kan? Ada everything has its pros and cons. Tapi inilah perbezaannya. Perbezaan dulu yang mana source of information sangat limited. Compared to now, information yang youth dapat are abundance actually. Memang senang lah nak tahu apa benda, kita tanya Mr. Google. Right? Kalau dulu, if I were to go and wanting to find out about the galaxy, for example, I kena cari encyclopedia. Right? I kena cari encyclopedia. Technically, practically, you have to go to the library to go and find informations from encyclopedia. Sekarang tak payah, right? Everything is within the click of your hands. That's the difference between today's youth and the youth before lah.
Especially, you know, nowadays youth, anything at all we can find on the internet, kan? It is also a pro and a con, kan? Information is at our fingertips, but sometimes we tend to misuse all of these platforms and the things that we have today. And then talking about like leadership currently, in your opinion, how is it that like the youth today can take charge of things? How can they, you know, be ahead of their career? You know, for instance, when they start off work, they start off at the lower levels, kan? As fresh graduates, baru kerja 1 year, 2 years. We have to show that we have leadership and we know how to capitalize of all this information that we have. Tapi kita baru, so we want to show that we have these skills, but there's always a fine line of being, you know, stepping, you know, there's a fine line of showing that you have skills and also a fine line when not to overstep. So how do we get that fine line too?
Okay. And I'm speaking based on my experience dealing with the youth lah, dealing with the millennials. Belum lagi, I don't think I have any staff generation Z, belum lagi. In taking charge, that is your responsibility. Yeah, it's your responsibility to take charge and to lead to lead the charter of your life. Ada dua types of people, whether this is millennials ke, kalau saya generation X ke, Y ke, apalah, and this thing hasn't changed as yet. These two groups of people, satunya group yang saya panggil we will, satu group yang saya panggil we have. You can, in order for you to take charge, okay, it's important for you to have a vision that you are planning to be doing this, meaning that, you know, you are making a commitment that you will be delivering A, B, C. Tapi, if you're not taking charge of executing of this we will, dia tak ke mana, right? Ni orang Melayu cakap angan-angan mak jenin je lah, You need to ensure that you get into the next segment of being able to tell your superiors, being able to tell your bosses that you have. In my career as a people manager, most of the time lah, kadang-kadang marah juga lah, most of the time, I will not penalize my staff if they are in the we have. Right? I would most of the time penalize my staff who keeps on saying we will. Sebab kalau dia kata we will do this, we will do that, dia tak buat lagi sebenarnya. Kadang-kadang dia pandai, sebab dia pandai cakap, dia pandai goreng, dia kata dia we will. I will do this, I will do that. Right? When you say we will, it needs to come with deliverables and a timeline. Right? How long does it take for you to deliver that? And deliver. Get it done. My advice to the youth, now that you have a much bigger advantage because you are the, as I said earlier lah, a huge abundant source of information. Everything is on the fingertips. The internet connection, other smart devices, you'll be able to get that information. Be spontaneous. Be spontaneous, and as a people manager, as an employer, right, as a boss, I would appreciate my staff, my employees who are willing to take the risk to be able to have done something rather than to will do something. So be spontaneous and jangan takut. Jangan takut, right? I understand, baru masuk kerja, nanti kata, oh, I am, you know, overstepping and I am pandai, right? I think there is no such thing as tunjuk pandai. This is your opportunities to be able to demonstrate to your superiors that you are a person that executes. And hence the reason why when you join in organizations, you have a degree, habis belajar, masuk workforce, they will give you most of the times they will give you a title executive, and that's your job, to execute. There are times when you're stuck because you need instructions, you need directions, but I would appreciate my staff who are able to think on how and provide suggestions to execute. In fact, as I said earlier, I wouldn't be penalizing those that have tried and attempted, even if it's wrong.
Okay, to those who have bosses like you, of course, okay, we can speak up, about our opinions, how do we do this and how do we do that. Tapi macam, what if, we have, certain bosses who are not so open to, new ideas and all that? Quite a challenge. Kadang-kadang kita, we give this and that, tapi macam, it's not our place to say so. So how do we tackle that?
You yourself must deal with difficult bosses and boss. How do you manage difficult bosses?
Got it. I'll give you an example. And there was one example. This was when I was at Intel. I tak nak mention the name of the boss lah. Tiba-tiba dia dial in onto this call pula kan. But she knows. I always believe, and I mention it. I hold these philosophies. There are 4 items actually, on how to be a good employee. First one, whether you like it or not, and I have to say that kadang-kadang the youth ni kurang sikit the first item, discipline. Discipline is super important, regardless whatever that you do, right? If you want to become, this MCO, I've been exercising quite a bit, right? So it requires for me to be disciplined, right? Lepas subuh, pagi dah keluar running, right? Because I have a target. So that discipline can cut across any disciplines actually, especially in organizational setting. You must have a commitment. And you have to be committed. Jangan hang-hangat tai ayam. Again, this is the we will and we have thing. Do it, right? And discipline is super important. Second one, right? Second one is not about kurang ajar. It's about being able to challenge status quo, right? So I'm gonna share with you the experience I had with a boss that I had before. She was one of those alpha female, right? Whatever I say is right. You can't argue, you can't argue. But she, in a way, was waiting for someone. It was an ASEAN role, actually, right? And I was representing Malaysia. So I was heading marketing for this organization. There were other head of marketing in other ASEAN countries. And the boss sits in Malaysia as well, right? The marketing director of Southeast Asia sits in Malaysia. So I was the only one. I didn't have a choice. Dia orang cakap, Hizam, you have to go and speak to her because you're in the same office with her. I takut. I remember that I was almost peeing in my pants to tell her that you need to change, right? You do not even allow us. There's no empowerment, right? Hence, that incident, that occurrence gave me that confidence that even if your manager were to be very strict and very firm, that's what you said, and who may not believe and may not conform to current values, one, of course, managing stakeholders are important. 2, you have to be extremely substantiated. You want to challenge your boss, right? Jangan cakap, boss, I don't like you. I don't like the way you do things. You have to explain why you don't like certain things actually, right? And your boss would appreciate when you say you tak agree on certain things, you provide suggestions. Izzat was good actually. I remember a couple of times he challenged me, right? And he gave me suggestions after that. Bila he gave me suggestions after that, I tak sempat nak marah. Right? I tak sempat nak marah because he knew that I was looking for another alternatives. Always think that your boss doesn't know everything. Yeah, I agree that I do not know everything. If I were to know everything, why would I need to hire you? When I hire people, I want to hire people who are smarter than me, right? Who is able to challenge my status quo. That's number 2. Number 3, communicate. Right? I was looking at the list of people who are watching this program tonight. Majority are Melayu kan. Kadang-kadang budak Melayu malu nak bercakap, malu nak communicate. Communication doesn't mean you go up on stage and do public speaking. Yeah, communication means the ability for you to speak up. Challenging status quo is important, and for you to be able to speak up with substance. Yeah. You will, I mean, if you start working, baru kerja, dah complain, oh, bos macam ni, bos macam tu, right? You are bound to be meeting up with different sets of bosses and different sets of colleagues. When you get into senior management role, you have to deal with board of directors, you have to deal with other stakeholders. When I was in MDEC, I have to go and deal with ministers, macam-macam berangai, right? But if you don't communicate and you don't explain, you're not able to get your work done, right? So I repeat once again, first one is discipline, second is challenge the score, communicate. The fourth one, it's always to make your workplace, whether it's in the office ataupun di rumah sekarang, a great place to work. You see, if even if you were technically spending 8 hours a day working, 8 jam sehari is essentially 33% of your day, of your day and night. Tolak kita tidur dan sebagainya, it is a large chunk of hours. And if you are in an organization, in a workspace, and you're not enjoying it, something wrong with it lah, right? It's either for you to go and move on and do something else. And if you feel that you are not able to find any joy, find that root cause. And if the root cause is your boss being too firm and being too strict, being too alpha male or alpha female, challenge him or her, right? But sometimes the root cause is you. The root cause is you not conforming to the requirements of the job scope. Yeah, bagi terlebih sikit, oh no, cannot. And that goes back to discipline lah. Yeah. So that's my view actually. Pasal inilah youth right now when it comes to approaches with bosses and expectations of bosses. Dalam in an organizational setting.
Okay, Encik Hizam, before kita kupas lagi what you said here. Makes sense, very make sense. You into 4 kan? Itulah, today's generation, we always, we know where areas to improve and whatnot. It's for us to communicate. That's where we have to, bagi berani sikit, to voice out and whatnot. Tapi before we go even further, I think we have a question. Someone wants to on the video and ask you a question, Hizam.
Okay.
Right.
Where's Khalid? I think Khalid wanted to ask a question.
Hello, dengar tak?
Dengar.
Ya, dengar.
Hi, Hizam, Khalid here.
Khalid is from Magic.
Khalid, I'm from Magic, Cyberjaya. I think you know because you work with MDEC before this.
Apa khabar, Khalid?
Khabar baik, Alhamdulillah. Okay, Hizam, I have one question for you. As we know sekarang ni, zaman sekarang ni, budak-budak consider as Generation Y. Diorang ni remaja yang jenis yang memberontak. Even though at my workplace, ada a few guys, a few girls yang somehow bila diorang tengah buat kerja ni, diorang jenis yang tak suka ikut bos. And then diorang ikut cara diorang, and a few times diorang langgar, considered as a rebel lah. So you as I think you already in the industry about more than 10 years. So how you handle all this type of people yang Generation Y ni?
Okay. So are you the rebellious one, Khalid, or are you managing these people?
I always follow the instructions. So if I have to work on Saturday and Sunday, I will go. Even though like previously I have to outstation for a month, no weekend for me though. So I just follow the instruction from my boss. That's me.
Okay. Good question. Thank you, Khalid. I mentioned earlier about the characteristics of digital natives, this current youth, yeah? I mentioned about them being exposed to different sources of information. I mentioned that they are rebellious. Tadi I cakap distrustful of current traditional, cultural and social values. But I also found out that current youth, despite of the fact that they are kadang-kadang memberontak, as how Khalid puts it, they are driven a lot more by values. They want to serve a bigger purpose in life, right? I have met wonderful people who came back from prestigious Ivy League universities who do not care so much about monetary values. Yeah, there's one guy, apa nama dia aku pun lupa. He used to work for MDAC a short while, right? He came back from the UK, was working there, earned great money, tapi dia rasa the self-fulfillment is not there, right? He's driven by a purpose to help the younger generation, especially in Malaysia, and he joined Teach for Malaysia, right? And these are different sets of people actually, and I see a lot of these sets of people among current youth, that they are driven by a purpose. So I may or may have not done it right, but when I deal with this current youth in my organization, I usually would relate and link the work that they do into a purpose. Yeah, into a purpose. As an example, my last job was to look into a new growth area for Malaysia, developing policies for fintech. If it were to be purely based on technology, it's going to get boring because there is no purpose. But when you position the work that they are doing is to help to address financial inclusion among the underserved community in Malaysia, how would they be able to serve Macikiah, micro SME? How would they be able to help community living in Kapit, Sarawak, who may not have direct access to financial services, but through digital financial services, it's possible. So before I pass them with the task, it is important for any managers when you're dealing with this youth, for you to provide them with a purpose. Magic does that. I mean, Magic memang banyak kerja dengan youth kan. And you know, your CEO Zulera is a good friend of mine. She has done a great job in serving a big purpose. Apakah purpose program yang dilaksanakan oleh your organization? And that purpose is not just purely about doing work. Youth sekarang is no longer youth yang hanya menurut perintah. Right? Even if you have been asked to go and work on Saturday and Sunday, you can argue, right? I noticed that current youth are very hardworking when they find a purpose, and they wouldn't mind being able to clock extra hours. Kadang-kadang I yang risau tengok staff yang begitu committed and sangat excited to get a program done, right? A program with a purpose, and would be able to sacrifice their weekends as well untuk deliver, right? And it's just amazing on what you can do as a manager, what you can do if the clarity of having that purpose would help for your staff, especially the youth, to be able to drive the objective and goals together. I hope I answered your question, Khalid.
Yep, you answered my question. Thank you so much, Hizam.
Hizam, if I may ask as well, okay, the problem dia macam okay, I think goes back to what Afina said earlier that okay, it seems like you understand how youth think. I think I can agree with as a youth myself. I pun boleh agree lah that we would like to serve a purpose. We have brought information, so doesn't mean just because we're young we don't know that things, but there are still a lot of managers and more senior people out there who doesn't get this and assume differently about the youth. Dia rasa macam the stereotype lah, youth are lazy, being spoon fed, manja, things like that, when I think most of the time actually sebenarnya dia orang misunderstood us, but there are times also the youth misunderstood the senior as well, and they thought that they are just being yes man, while people have different reasons for doing this. Macam mana kita nak bridge that gap?
I think it goes back to the 4 principles, the philosophy I said earlier. Yeah, satu, if you are disciplined and you are delivering what is expected out of you, yeah, tak ada boss yang tak suka staff yang deliver. Satu. If you were to relate back to the 4 items that I said earlier, yeah. Second, you challenge the score. Some bosses tak suka di argue. Some bosses will not be entertained. They will not entertain any queries or any arguments that you have. Yeah. But if you are able, and this will require skills actually, and I believe that youth right now are capable in constructing or structuring a story better as compared to when I was a youth. Yeah. And third, again, it's about communicate. Kalau one thing that I noticed, kadang-kadang some of the youth who are scared to bring up their grievances, their issues, their challenges, duduk diam je. Duduk diam, and it is scary as well. When I was a youth, I remembered there are bosses that are super scary. Yeah. Oh, that example, I tak habis cerita pasal that boss. Yeah. When I confronted her with regards to how she should change the way she approached all of us, I was nearly peeing in my pants, and I said, "Ma'am, I have something to share with you." And that moment, I pun terkejut because she was looking at me as if I was about to give her a lecture, And this is a very lion lady, And next thing that she did was she was doing like this, put her hands on the table and started twirling her hair. And that's not her typical behavior. Yeah, right? And I explained to her, and she said, "What is it about?" I was being very objective. You have to be very objective, yeah? And then, all of us have had numerous number of meetings before that. So I was prepared. I provided evidences. I provided reasons why we wanted her to change and why she needs to change and change to what. All right. So I provided suggestions. And end of the year, right, when we grouped together and all that, I didn't expect for her to bring it up. And she said that this year, she said the most, the one thing that she remembers the most was the conversations that I had with Hizam. Oh, masa tu I wasn't excited. I was takut. Apa benda dia nak cakap pasal my conversations with her? She said that she was looking forward to someone who was able to challenge status quo. Yeah, you janganlah masuk your boss pergi hentak meja, right? Don't do that. Prepare, right? At the end of the day, this is the person who would determine whether you're going to get increment or not. Yeah. So you have to play a bit of diplomacy. but that diplomacy can go far if it is substantiated and if it comes with clear evidences, right? Anyone, any of your bosses, whether gagang macam mana pun, whether dia Gen Y ke baby boomers ke apalah, at the end of the day, they are human beings, right? Everyone ada soft part and not so soft part, yeah? All right? You just have to find where to press and when to press, right? I found a good time with her. I bribe her a bit lah, masa tu belikan kopi kat dia. Right? I found a good time for me to, yeah, right? You just have to be diplomatic. You have to find the right time in order for you to press the right button. Beli jiwa, kan? So you have to buy her or be bukan buy her meaning that you have to ajak dia makan ke apa lah, kan? So you know that she likes coffee and you buy her coffee and have that conversations and put her in a mode that is a lot more relaxed and a lot more casual. Yeah. Start your conversation objectively. Be direct. Jangan nak beat around the bush and say that, oh well, here I'm actually, oh but I think, oh but, you know, once you start beating around the bush, you get, as a boss, I get really agitated. I like my staff to come to me and say 1, 2, 3, dah. Yeah. So a lot of bosses prefer that, especially yang the older bosses ni, they have so many other things to do. So you be direct, be diplomatic, beli jiwa dia prior to that, right? And explain why and provide suggestion. It inshallah, he or she will listen.
Okay, so at the end of the day,
and
it
would
goes back.
Eventually.
It goes back to the 4 principles that you mentioned. And the 4th that you mentioned was making the workplace a great place to work, kan? And then also answering Khalid's question, you were talking about the purpose. But let's see the correlation with passion. You know, sometimes, you know, especially the youth, sometimes we study one thing and then we work as something else. Or sometimes what we do is for the sake of employability rather than, you know, finding your passion. So macam mana tu? How do we find that, you know, of course we have a purpose on everything we do. Tapi kalau passion tu macam mana? If we are not passionate about that work, how do we make it something that we enjoy?
Sure. Okay. So it is important lah. It is important for you to be passionate about what you do. But the world is unfair. Yeah. You're not able to be doing what you really want to do. If you were to be asking me what exactly do I want to be, I want to be an artist. I want to be a painter. Honestly, yes, right? It's like a lot, eh? That was what I enjoyed doing. Right? That was what I enjoyed. I remembered masa 5, semua orang ambil agama, right? Masa dulu, you know, of course I'm older than you guys. It was SPM. The SPM was very different from the SPM that you guys are having right now, right? In order for you to take arts as an option, right, you have to drop agama.
So you drop agama for arts.
Right? It was. Yes, because I was driven by that. I was driven by that passion. Dia? Cakap dia alhamdulillah boleh 5 orang semua boleh. But I knew that if I were to be an artist, and I don't come from a wealthy family, yeah. If I were to be an artist, maybe I make it, maybe I'm not. And I don't have an options as well. I was given a scholarship, and when you are given a scholarships, most of the times are for typical kind of scope of work, yeah, scope of degrees of majors. To create that passion has to come from you, yeah. If you were to get into a job purely based on employability, and it's just because that you want to make money, my advice, don't accept the job. Yeah, while you started work, once you baru-baru kerja, it's okay. You know, I know that workload, expectations, accountability may not be big, right? And you just can come in and listen to instruction. Saya yang menurut perintah, you deliver work. But as you get higher and you don't have that passion, you're not creating that interest, that passion of why you are there in this organization, you're going to get bored. And once you get bored, right, dia tak ikhlas. Bila dia tak ikhlas, most of the time, the output is going to be very lackluster. Yeah, very lackluster Melayu apa? Half baked lah, dia setengah-setengah masak je, right? Kalau benda tu setengah masak, naik gaji, tak naik pangkat, dia marah. Oh, I've been in these organizations for 6 years. How come someone who has been in this organization for 2 years naik pangkat, dapat naik gaji? Right? It is your responsibilities. It's not employers' responsibilities to create that passion. Right? If they were to be, if I had a scholarship from GPA, kalau GPA nak bagi I scholarship to become in fine arts, maybe it would have been a different life right now, right? I probably wouldn't be in these conversations right now. But I took something else and I got into organization, right? Honestly, I came back. I wasn't that smart in school, let me put it that way. Right? My SPM okay lah, alhamdulillah lah kan. That still entitled me to get a scholarship and I went abroad. So I studied communication. Yeah, and I studied advertising. I had no clue what it was actually. And I came back with an idea. I was very passionate. I wanted to become a copywriter. Oh, nak jadi creative guy, you know, idea copywriter or director, and because I exposed myself to something new in the US, right? I came back. Ingat lagi masa tu. Mana ada you can send emails and whatnot to get jobs, right? I was knocking on doors of big advertising agencies. Yeah, Ogilvy and Mayer, Leo Burnett dulu, arwah Yasmin kan, Yasmin Ahmad. I wanted to work for this type of organization because I thought that it would be able to help to fuel my fire. Yeah, as a creative person, I got a job. The first job that I had was in grey advertising. Yeah. Grey advertising. Okay. Passion, reality. All right. Here I was as a junior person. Masuk. Ui, berkobar-kobar ni. I want to create iklan power ni. All right. And then I found out that, oh, there's a lot of process actually. It requires discipline for you to get things delivered. And you have to deal with this nutcases clients. Yeah. These nutcases clients would have job requisitions, creative brief that you have to develop. Oh, bukannya masuk buat iklan, this client and this corporate client would give you, nah, kau buatlah apa kau suka. It doesn't work that way. And that's when I learned that, oh, this is passion, this is reality, right? If I were to be fretting that, alamak, you know, the work that I'm doing is not from what I've envisioned, right? And I am not embedding the reality, then I'm just going to get stuck there. I'm going to be a sour grape. Nothing is going to happen to me, right? The organizations that you work for will not listen to you. Yeah. Yes, I understand the current youth are a lot more rebellious, have more ideas. The horizons are wider. Great, and use that opportunities to be able to influence and to be able to shape the outcome of your work. Yeah, and if I can share a bit lah, tadi tak share banyak about myself, yeah. And then after Grey, I went to O&M, another great reputable advertising agency. Gaji tak banyak, kerja ya Allah sampai tidur office banyak kali. There was an opening in Intel, right? And Intel was looking for a PR manager. Okay lah, my capabilities of writing was quite okay lah masih, yeah. And I applied for it. Gaji lagi banyak masa tu. Masa tu gaji, I remembered when I first started working, nak bagi cerita sikit dekat youth yang complain gaji tak banyak. Tapi I know that you guys are saying that inflation and whatnot, this was 20 years ago. My first salary was RM750. I naik motor pergi Empire Tower. That was my office dulu, ya. Before that, I took Lensing bus, right, from my sister's house in Setapak. Nak pergi office. and I got a job. I got a job at Intel. All right. And that was driven more because driven by it was a lot more driven by the remuneration, right? The perks that I'm going to be getting from 750 naik 1000 lebih. I think by the time I get out of O&M, it was about 2100, yeah, gaji around that. Intel was able to give me 5,000, skyrocketed my salary, you know, and I was still 27, yeah, as a PR, bunyi macam power. I got the surat, yeah, I got the letter, the job offer. Then my bulu woman, what the heck did I know about semiconductor, about motherboards, about integrated circuits, about VLSI? I did not know anything about a processor. I know a computer, I own a computer, but that was it. Yeah, it goes back to the 4 principle lah, nak panggil apa lah, the philosophy just now, yeah. Discipline. It goes back to discipline. Then communicate. I got into Intel. The first thing that I told my boss masa tu was, help me, right? I know that you are expecting me to help you with communication for the organizations, but I need help as much as well in understanding the products and the business structure. Yeah, if I were not to be malu, then I think I wouldn't have been able to grow within Intel. Yeah, Alhamdulillah. Kalau nak kata it was easy for me, it wasn't easy. It was more of ensuring that I survive. And another advice actually, yeah, when you are an organization, it is also your responsibilities. You are being hired by an organization. You're being hired by your boss. Show your values. Kalau you tak faham certain things, ask. This is where communicate comes in. Yeah. And when you communicate, bosses sometimes prefer people who are able to interact. Because when Izzat comes to me, when Shafiq comes to me and asks me certain things, and then they banter with ideas and say, boss, why didn't you think of it this way actually? Right? Sometimes that suggestions wouldn't have been thought by me at all, because these guys, this youth, this staff of mine are more exposed than I do. They are on the ground all the time. Most of the time, my time would be with my boss, with the board of directors. Right? Ini semua orang tua lagi. Dia tak tahu pun exactly what's happening on the ground, right? So yeah, so show your values actually, and that will help you to advance and to further yourself even more.
Right, thank you, Hizam. You know, at the end of the day, you know, it's all about reality, kan? We have to find that purpose. We have to find, you know, that passion in whatever we do. You know, things that make us happy, environment that, you know, further embraces us, and what we can give back as well, kan? But like, let's take a shift to digitalization, kan? We talk about leadership, about personal development, about digitalization and personal development together. Sekarang we have a lot of platforms. We have LinkedIn, we have Clubhouse, social media and whatnot. So how do we leverage more on that? Not just to, you know, for connection, networking, whatnot, but also for branding and your presence as a youth.
Use it. My answer is as simple as that. Use it, but use it tactfully. Yeah. Every platform would have its nature. LinkedIn is a bit more business oriented. Twitter kalau you nak membawang mengecam. Yeah. Facebook a lot more casual. It depends on how you would want to brand yourself. If you want to be a politician, then maybe Twitter is a great platform. Yeah. If you want to get into corporates and look for opportunities, LinkedIn would serve its purpose. But the point is, branding. You may think that branding is just for products, right? Everyone has its own brand. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on a digital platform. Even within a work setting, right? There was one time when Izzat was working for me, I had about 50 people working for me in my group, in my division. Yes, I know their names by heart, but it is also responsibilities of these people who are reporting to me to be able to create their own brands in increasing their visibility. And it's important if you want something, let's say you are really determined in getting a job, yeah, you want to be a good example right now. I mean, let's just use a current job. You want to be a social media influencer. You want to be a YouTube influencer. Sometimes I would skim through YouTube and start terkejut, an influencer that has 3 million followers. Macam mana dia dapat 3 million followers tu kan? And that itself is a branding platform that if you look at a person who's on Instagram or on YouTube, it has its content, and that content helps you to create your brand, right? If you're a florist, for example, you aspire to become a florist, just use that as an example. Kalau you create your Instagram, your social media content, cerita pasal pasal bangunan, then who knows that you have values in arranging flowers. If you are a fitness instructor, for example, if you're a fitness instructor, you are showing images of you and your friend. You're a fitness instructor, you're supposed to be showing images and videos of people exercising, or testimonial of your trainees, right? And people will start believing it. I think the youth today has bigger opportunities in branding yourself, but you have to ask first, your true self, what is that brand that you want to create? Yeah, I'm gonna relate to a family example. My niece at 17 years old. I'm very proud of her. At 17 years old, she wrote a book. Right? She wrote a book, and if you were to go to her social media platform, she talks about books. Right? She talks about, kadang-kadang you would read her captions and you were like, okay, mana budak ni dapat tahu captions from some British authors that you've never heard of. Yeah. And you remember tadi you mentioned about passion, right? She has that passion, and she's very clear with what she wants. Yeah. But she brands herself right, that I am an author and I want to be a writer, and that's how she attracts herself to be portrayed, to be branded herself as a writer, as a wordsmither. Yeah. Everybody else can do the same thing as well, right? Afrina, for example, and I know that you are a recipient of an award from Yang di Pertuan Agong. That is a value that you should use in further, right? Izzat, for example, right? I really see Izzat as a politician one day. If that's the pathway that he wants to go, then he needs to start building that content, that brand towards that. If he wants to be a CEO one day, I think he did well. I found out from him that the tweet about today's program was retweeted by the former CEO of PNB, right? And that's great because he is capable in developing content, that narratives that shapes or attracts the like-minded people, and that's important in building that brand for you.
We have somebody who raised dia punya hand.
Okay.
Hi, it's me. Hi, Hizam, Shazza here.
Hi, sayang.
Hi, Shazza.
Actually, okay, I want to thank Afrina for bringing that point. Tapi I nak add sikit. I disagree on Izzat being a politician. That one I tak support. But who knows, right? Who knows? But I tak nak nanti kena kecam dapat allowance untuk beli pinggan mangkuk. Anyway, okay, jokes aside, yeah, it's great that Alpina brought up the point about own branding, and then I think it has been great, Hizamnya sharing. So itulah hari tu we were discussing about youth punya age. So bila tengok tu, I macam borderline lah, tapi what I wanted to bring up probably macam get some feedback from Hizam lah. I get what you mean about personal branding, you know, use social media, that is the generation, but sometimes it can also go negatively. Would it, because it has happened, because we come up from the point yang, okay, it's my personal profile, you know, I can say whatever I want, I can put out whatever I want, it has nothing to do with the organization, and this coming from I mean, my background also buat PR, corporate firm semua lah, we would want the staff, you know. So it's more of just probably for you to share with the audience tonight, so that they are aware whether should they, yes, you said tactfully, but at the same time juga, would it, you know, is it okay? And if you ask me, I'm all for it, you know, you voice out your opinion and things like that, but then macam sometimes employer tu dia takkan suka lah, tapi they would not be doing the checking unless someone bring it up, you know. I have seen my ex-colleagues penalized for that, you know, for voicing out their opinion in personal capacity. It's their platform, tapi it reflects poorly on the organisation, but then dia tak adalah memburukkan pun organisation tu. And another point also on this is bila youth, I would say maybe fresh grad, because I do know some of the participants kat sini macam still studying kan. So would it be fair to them, especially when they use LinkedIn, sekarang yang I tak suka LinkedIn tu dia dah jadi macam Facebook dah. So it's really hard to look at it. So bila let's say hiring managers, I do that sometimes when I would want to look at fresh grad punya profile, because it's human nature, you know, you looked at that and then you already prejudge that person. But for me, it's more of just finding out, you know. Yeah. So what are your thoughts and probably, you know, some tips lah for this younger generation yang tengah cari kerja ataupun maybe tengah nak, you know, try other opportunities, explore, and like you said, how should this personal branding would be good for them instead of it being a negative, you know, something bad lah. Yeah. And then lagi satu, just to touch a little bit on mental health, sebab it's everything that people talk about now lah. And then probably those days it's something that happened, but now because of the social media, so people are more vocal about mental health. What would be your advice to the younger generation, and how would you, you know, approach this? Kalau you tengok, sebab kadang orang tu tak tahu dia tengah stressed out, dia dah burn out. Yeah, what would be your take on that? Okay, that's all from me. Thanks.
Sure. All right, several questions. I'll probably be able to answer and sum them up together lah. On pros and cons, social media. You have to understand that on social media platform, nothing is confidential. Right? In the US right now, there's so much of commotions with regards to data confidentiality, especially on platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp. Right? You know about that, and there was this exodus of migration to new platforms like Signal and whatnot, and Telegram. But you have to understand, you know, when even if it's Signal as well, it's the variations of data being shared more than anything else. You agree to term and condition. Kadang-kadang kita excited bila download certain new apps, you just click on it because you just want to jump into this terms and condition. You have agreed to this platform for you to be revealing certain data. Yeah. And as an employer, I think to answer your second questions, actually, I do that background check myself. Right? I would look out for Izzat's social media platforms. It's very busy and active, right? To understand more so of background of the person who's going to be working with me. Yeah. So do it tactfully, betul, right? In answering your questions about expressing your dissatisfactions to your organization, or worse, to your boss, yeah, on social media platform. You see, social media platform, I know that the intent is to melepaskan geram, kadang-kadang kan, and you feel, lega because I have expressed it. But the nature of social media platform is shareable. Yeah, you can go and disable this and disable that. Yeah, it could be as someone who doesn't like you, for example. I mean, you can't have everybody to like you. Yeah, do a screenshot and send it to your boss. That has happened before. Yeah, so be tactful on the platform, especially if it were to be commenting and expressing your views with regards to your organization. You see, in expressing views and concern or grievances about your organizations, there are other platforms actually, through HR, for example, yeah, where you'll be able to channel that issues and challenges. And that's where the challenging status quo comes in, right? That you are unhappy about certain items and wanting to find rationale why your boss, why your organization behave in such a way, rather than using it as a platform for you to voice it out on a platform that is mass in nature. Yeah, but I understand. You guys are all youth. You guys are very social media savvy. You want to provide your opinions, be it, right? You want to provide opinions about MCO, okay, go ahead, right? Because that's your right. That's your right as a citizen. We are living in a democratic country. You are you have the rights, the entitlement to be voicing out your opinions. Yeah. But if it were to be my advice, my suggestion, if it were to be detrimental to the positions of you in your organization, kutuk boss openly on social media platform, yeah, hoping that the boss will not know about it, it may not be a wise idea. Find another professional platform within the organization. If dalam the organizations itself, if you were to be reporting to HR, telling HR this and that, no actions taken, that organization is not a good organization. Then leave, look for other opportunities. Yeah, why would you have to go menyakitkan hati sendiri? You have to find alternatives if the problems are not solved. Yeah, I hope I answer your question, Shaza. On mental health, I think mental health in Malaysia is rising. Yeah, I think MCO sort of fuel it even further. Burnout within organization of not having a sense of fulfillment. Yes, I was having a conversations with an old friend, also a people manager. We were talking about youth, coincidentally, yeah. And he, without telling where he works right now, but he works for a pretty large organization, a regulator, a financial regulator actually. And this particular organization hires very smart people, right? And most of the people that they hire were their were their scholars. They were given scholarships, right? And these kids would go to all these Ivy League universities. So they came back very competitive, very kiasu, yeah. And like any organizations, you would do competency ranking, right? You assess your competencies, you assess your different attributes expected of the organizations, your competencies more than your performance of your kerja, yeah. one youth came to him and started crying. Sebab dia kata, why am I not getting all 5? Right? And the guy was surprised. The guy was surprised because you hardly will never be able to get all 5 to begin with. Because if you're 5, then you are already walking on water. That's how itu tahap dewa dah kan. Right? The point is, in the case of this particular girl who reports to this friend of mine, right? Dia punya expectations is too high until to the point that it creates some level of mild depression for her. She wants to feel that she's recognized, right? And sometimes these kind of behaviors are setting themselves for failure, because when you feel that you're not hitting the mark, and so it's the responsibilities of my friend actually to explain, to rationalize that getting a 3, getting a satisfactory, it doesn't mean that you're bad, right? It doesn't mean that you're bad. It means that there are rooms for improvement. Okay, of course, I mean a performing employee would have certain attributes, would have certain traits that are 4 and 5. Then you would rank them accordingly. Yeah, but for this particular person, and this example is real example, who demanded to have all 5, I think that is one of the causes of having mental health lah. Expectations. Yeah, and expectation is not just about doing good, doing the best. It's also expectations of being able to deliver, or expectations of whether your boss punya requirements and your requirements are different. Yeah, and then you get agitated because your boss doesn't understand you, right? So if the way I treat it, I mean, I'm not youth right now, right? Maybe there are different ways on how to address this. I always go back to the 4 things actually, which is, of course, discipline is important. When you are disciplined, when you deliver, no problem lah, yeah? And then it goes back to challenge status quo. You communicate, and I want to ensure, right, anyone, I mean, in this case, this girl who works for this financial regulator, she's not even happy. She just wants to go and perform and be a superwoman, this Wonder Woman. Why? Right? In other words, I think in the words of the youth, chill lah, kan? Kita chill lah sikit. Because when you're not chill in an organization, you're not going to have fun. And we're not going to have fun, that's when, at the early age, you start burning out. And that's bad. Right? That's bad. And that's when, usually that's what happens when you put your expectations way too high than what is expected out of you. All right? That's my view.
Yeah. Okay, so it's about 9:15 dah. Okay, let's take one question before we wrap things out, Hizam. Okay, we are talking about how we can contribute to the organization. You talk about the 4 pillars, how to handle our bosses and everything we do. But for the youth, after like years of like working or like our first job and whatnot, when do we know that it's enough for us in that organization? Sometimes we try and whatnot. You did mention about macam saying that perhaps the organization is no longer fit for you, but when do we know to take that leap of faith to transition into bigger, better opportunities?
Macam tanya untuk diri sendiri.
Tak, it's applicable to everyone.
When you have lost that trust, right? My suggestions is don't give up. Find ways how you could be further empowered, how you could be how you could be given more opportunities. But when you sense that trust works both ways, yeah? Trust works both ways. It's you trusting your boss and the organization, and your boss would have to trust you as well. When that trust is not there, it's not, that's probably, I mean, at least for me, and alhamdulillah, in my organization, it wasn't so much of trust issue lah, yeah. that's when you tell yourself, okay, this is the point when you need to start looking for new opportunities. Because when you work in an organization, when there is no trust, right? I speak about great place to work, having fun. It's not fun anymore, right?
What do you mean by trust?
In a relationship. What do you mean by trust? Okay. When a trust is broken, right? When a trust is broken, when your boss doesn't view you as capable anymore, when you start questioning your boss' credibility, that's when trust is broken, right? But don't jump into conclusion that, hey, trust is broken. This is where make efforts in terms of challenging status quo. Make effort for you to communicate. Remember that example of me telling my boss and she start twirling her hair, right? If that communication did not take place, if I did not challenge status quo, it wouldn't have, that change of behavior wouldn't have taken, right? Alhamdulillah, my relationship with this particular boss remains until now. We're still in touch on social media platform, right? And sometimes WhatsApp, actually, just checking on one another. And that's that threshold of trust varies from one person to another lah, yeah. Some people dia nak sampai the level when trust is broken too is probably longer, right? And I know that there are other factors as well. There are the macro factors. You have to ensure sustainability, financial sustainability. Mana boleh berhenti kerja begitu je kan? To reach that trust, that level, that threshold of trust too, it varies, and you have to start asking yourself, am I trusting the organization, or does the organization trust me? If that cannot be found, that is when you have to start looking for new opportunities. Yeah.
Right, thank you very much, Hizam. Okay, to wrap things out, I think, okay kan, Izzat? It's about 9:15, perhaps. Yeah, we can wrap things up.
Thank you so much, Hizam.
Just a final note from you, Hizam. Any final advice to the attendees before we close the session?
Maybe I'll share my last note from the view of if I were to turn back the clock and become youth again, yeah, what would I do? And that would be my advice to the youth currently lah. I'll do one advice that's more fun and one more schema. I'll start with the schema one lah, yeah. You guys calling it schema still kan, the youth? Dah sekarang panggil schema ke?
Yeah.
Or is it follow?
Bahasa tak berubah sangat.
Okay, and the schema ones, my advice for youth right now is continue learning, continue to upskill yourself. If you are an accountant, right, the role of your job is not going to remain as per it is. How do you upskill yourself? Yeah, top 3 jobs of the future are all digital related, right? Number 1 is data analytics, becoming data scientists. Number 2 are AI and machine learning specialists, anything related to being able to machines to be thinking on behalf of us, right? And number 3 are people management roles, right? Like it or not, whether, you know, the fact that you have a lot of automation, robots doing this, robot doing that, you still need people to coordinate and to be able to develop that systems. Yeah. So I encourage, regardless of whatever job that you're doing, whether you are a designer ke, you are a banker ke, right? You need to be able to upskill yourself to the requirements of the future. I'm not asking you to go and learn coding, yeah. I'm asking you to be able to understand. You see, as an accountant, you sit in the abundance of data. How would this data be able to be analyzed further? A lot of courses that are available, some of them are even free. You just have to be more inquisitive in finding opportunities to upskill yourself. especially in the emerging skills that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, and these skills, if you notice, they're all jobs that can that requires you to solve complex problems, that would require for you to have critical thinking, and for you to be able to coordinate with people. Yeah, it doesn't move much from my youth time. Yeah, but this new skills are different from before. Right, during my time I learned Excel to go and data manage, but now there are a lot of other tools that can help you to advance and upskill yourself. Itu jawapan Poyo dia. Jawapan yang funny, as I said, if I can turn back the clock, if I were to be youth, I would want myself, and I encourage you to be more adventurous. Try out a lot of things. You see, at my age, I get sleepy by 10:30. Right? But at your age, you're still wide awake, and it's okay for you to be having sleep for 5 hours or even less. Yeah? While you still have that energy, venture out to other things. Try out, and it's okay to be making mistakes, because failures are the one that would then be able to refine you to become a better person later on. Yeah. If I can turn back the clock, 20 years ago, I wanted to become an entrepreneur. Right? I can still be right now, but I have so much of liabilities, and it's a bit hard. Right? It's a bit hard to jump into that. You guys would have that opportunity to become an entrepreneur. You can still do it. I mean, you guys are all digital savvy. There are a lot of digital platforms that can help you. And I know some of you guys are probably doing it. Jual jersey online lah, itu lah, right? So venture into that. And digital environment right now allows you to be more adventurous. Don't sit still, right? I know sometimes you need time as well to chill, right? Chill's good, right? You want to go play soccer, football, okay, fine, right? But find 2-3 other things, okay, kalau banyak, 1-2 other things that are different from the core of the work that you're doing right now. Yeah, because you would never know that this hobby that you're doing could turn out to be something that would make your pocket thicker, right? And when you do things that you are passionate more, right, and you make money from your hobby, it's not even work anymore, right? Imagine you're doing something that you like and you make money out of it. How amazing it is. And that my challenge to you guys, it's not just a suggestions. My challenge to you guys, while you still have time, while you still have energy, venture out, go and do 1-2 other things. And if it were to be able to be monetized, it's even better.
Alright,
satu lagi lah. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Satu lagi. Jangan lupa orang tua. Itu je. Be
Hizam.
humble.
Sorry, Hizam. Just want to ask. I'm Chazri, by the way. I just want to ask. Will we have any program like this again, or is there any other possible way I can meet up with you? So I'm sorry, I'm very direct. So just something.
Okay. Tanya Izzat, if I have the time. If Izzat has my number, right? I'm easy. You buy me coffee, I'm happy.
I think what we can do. I think if someone wants to meet him personally, of course, I can reach me out. IPA dia unofficially. But for other people in the room, if you all feel that you like to have this session with Hizam again, we perhaps can do it quarterly, you know. We can have Hizam again, or we can have other speakers again. I'm planning to bring in other speakers since Jalil also retweet, maybe we can have Jalil to speak together, debate dengan Hizam ke, you know, it's something that this is actually a platform for everyone lah. It's not really not anything
Apalah saya nak
for
debate
everyone.
dengan Jalil.
So kalau rasa macam, you know, you want to see Hizam debate with someone ke, ataupun we have other guest personality to come, feel free, we'll arrange for it lah, kan.
Sebab tu it's important to follow us or FC SWAT, right? So we'll keep you updated on future events apa
Kita
semua.
boleh cari orang lah, ada credibility lah. If you all support us, follow our page, leave us a good feedback, scan through this QR code that is projected in front of you. Kalau you scan, you can leave the comments, and with this feedback, with this support, then we can go to meet other guests, and Hizam pun happy lah to see more and more people can benefit from his sharing as well.
The future is yours. It's no longer mine, right? Yes, and you are the one who's going to shape the country actually. That's how important the youth. And when Izzat called me up and said that, can you share your views? Can you share your opinion? I have no doubts of doing this actually, right? I sit in Yayasan Penaraju Bumi Putra, where that organizations provide scholarships untuk anak-anak Bumi Putra yang kurang berupaya, financially not that stable, yeah. It's a so jangan mengamuk dekat internet.
Tak boleh, nanti kena saman sekarang.
Alright. Thank you everyone for making the time, especially Hizam, for spending your Saturday night. Dah 10:30 nak kena tidur kan Encik Hizam. That time is early.
Discipline.
So thank you so much for sharing with us about leadership, personal development. We talked about passion. You talked about the 4 main pillars as driving factors. And I'm very sure everyone has greatly benefited. We look forward to having you again, perhaps partnering you up, as Izzat mentioned, with other speakers as well. And yeah, looking forward to keep in touch, not with just Hizam and everyone here. See you in the next program. But before you leave, we appreciate if you can scan this feedback for future improvements and events. Right? Is there anything else from your end?
I personally wanted to thank Hizam and also actually Afrina for everyone's information. This program, like we said, it's free because it is meant for us to give back to the people. But I myself, I felt that I was lucky to be learning under Hizam, like you said, although just for 1 year. But he taught me a lot of the principles. Actually, yang 4 advice pun, that was the first week when he came into the office, and that was the first slides that he showed to us. These 4 principles. Ada satu lagi sebenarnya, sense of urgency. So, and I thought that rugi kalau
good student.
So rugi kalau orang tak, don't have the opportunity to meet wonderful leaders. And selagi I ada kemampuan, I thought macam, let's get, so we can make the world, the nation a better place lah. I myself have a son. I hope that one day people that in this group will be able to share the same knowledge when I'm gone to my son or to other people punya children as well lah. So that's why we did this. We paid for the account. We set up. We designed. We contacted each one personally to give you the experience as well. It is all done by FC SWAT, and I think tonight we are satisfied and we are happy to know that all of you at least learn something to be better human being lah. Itu saja.
Okay. Selamat malam. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, thank you. Salam. Thank you everyone. Jangan lupa scan. Thank you Afrina. Awesome.